so this is day 4 of the Biden-Hur interview with the transcript and the audio. I'm trying to get these done. We've got about an hour left of the recording. I just want to get it done because it's a lot. So anyway, we're going to start right about here where it says Mr. Crickbaum. Let's see here.
So this is another typed document. The title of it is Counterinsurgency Coin versus Counterterrorism CT Strategies. If you could, I'm not going to ask you about the substance of this document, Mr. President. I wanted if you would look at the notes in the margins on page 2. The next page is the base number 40, base number 41, base number 42, and just tell me whether that's your handwriting or if you recognize it.
It looks like my handwriting.
Okay. And then I think that's the last document I wanted to ask you about in this folder, Mr. President. If you could turn to the next tab, which the big blue tab it says Afghanistan folder. So the first page of that folder is a scan of a manila folder. It's got handwriting on it that says Afghanistan 2009. Do you recognize that folder?
It looks like my writing.
Okay. And then if you go to tab B25, this is a typed document. It has handwriting on it. It's dated November 25th, 2009, and it says memorandum for the president from the vice president. Is that your handwriting on this document as well?
It looks like, yeah.
All right. This says that it is a memo for the president from you, and I will give you for context, Mr. President, that parts of this typewritten document that you're looking at are incorporated into the handwritten memo that you wrote to President Obama, the long one that we looked at earlier. So there are some.
Which came first?
This one is dated 3 days earlier. The typewritten one is dated 3 days earlier. And so my question is just whether you recall using this memo or anything else as a resource or source material when you were writing the handwritten.
I'd have to take a look. Give me a second.
Of course, please, take your time. Sorry.
What was the question?
I was asking whether you used the typewritten memo in E25 as a resource or a source material when you wrote the handwritten memo to President Obama.
Possible. My guess is not. This was Well, I got this, if I wrote this on the 25th, I would have already been well into writing the handwritten deal with Bono, which was Thanksgiving, what date did it get down?
You sent it on November 28th.
28th.
Yeah.
I guess it's theoretically possible, but I don't remember it that
Okay.
way.
That's fine.
But this is. Conversation with this.
And Mr. President, if the answer is that you don't remember,
I don't remember the sequence of the handwritten versus this. And I'm reluctant to speculate, but if this was, I've received this before I wrote the other, it was added argument why he should listen to my argument. I'm talking about, I had a long conversation with Eichenberg yesterday, I urge you to call him before you make a decision. Carl can speak for himself. And he has eloquent some of his cables, let me relate just a few things. Adding troops will not speed up the ability to train Afghan stuff, etc. So these are criticisms of the proposal that would be made to the president by others in the administration wanting to double down on Afghanistan.
understood.
So my guess is probably was a partial source to what I ended up sending as well on the 28th, whatever day it was.
Okay. There's only one other document I wanted to ask you about. This folder is B37, which is toward the back.
You said 37 or 27?
37.
Okay, thank you.
This is another typewritten document, Mr. President. It says memorandum for principals at the top. I'm not going to ask you about the content of it, but I wanted you to just look at there's some handwritten notes in the margins on the second page. And if you just flip through, you'll see notes in the margins on several pages. And I wanted to ask, that appears to be your handwriting.
So it could be. I mean, I make stars like that, you know, asterisks
Okay.
like that, but I can't swear to that.
Okay.
This is a transfer of Afghan responsibility is critical.
And
This was, I'm sorry, I'm trying to figure what this was.
I believe this was one of the several memos that the National Security Advisor sent out to the Principals Committee asking for views about various proposals about troop levels. But, you know, the debate was about how many, what was going to be the strategy. As you know much better than I do, but I actually didn't have any questions for you about
I'm just trying to have it in the context.
Yes. Yeah, understood. Mr. President, if you could, and I can recognize the desire to read those documents again.
I'm just trying to see the context.
Sure. We have fairly limited time, and so
All right, fine, I'm sorry.
if I could,
By the way, just a real quick question on that. What's our time situation?
We're 1 hour and 10 minutes into the interview today, for today. Yes. 1 hour and 10 minutes in.
so I really do need to move on, Mr.
Okay,
President.
go ahead, I'm sorry.
I just had one other handwriting question for you, which is back to binder 1. And it's tab 9. Base number 004. Sorry, DSC _004.
ERT, you say?
DSC _004.
ERT.
I think there's a TSC.
Here you go, I got it.
You got it. This is a photo of several folders in a box. And the one I wanted to ask you about is that it says Washington Speakers Bureau. Do you see that one? It's a manila.
Next to Bo.
It's a manila folder. It is further towards you. Right.
Okay, yeah.
Do you recognize that handwriting, Mr. President? Is that yours?
I think it's fine.
Okay. 1 second. I have a different topic, and this is something that came up yesterday when Mr. Herr was showing you photographs of the garage at the lake house. You made reference to, and at some point, some materials ended up in the lake house, and you referred to that as tranche 2. And we wanted to follow up and understand what you meant, what you were referring to by tranche 2.
I don't know, they're talking about when stuff got delivered to the garage.
I believe so.
And the photo in which that exchange occurred was behind tab 7. The binder.
Okay, I see.
Yes, sir. So if I recall, when you saw that pile of boxes to the right of the treadmill there, I think one of the things you
This
said
is
yes.
stuff that came after other stuff had already been delivered to the garage. Because some of this stuff relates to construction stuff, all those fans that were taken down from the interviews and things. So my recollection is that there were 2 times that boxes related to my office, the job I held, were delivered to the garage. And most of this stuff, I think a lot of it's still sitting there, stuff that had to do with construction and or other material from, I guess, Chamber Road. There's furniture, this is 2021. But
No, it's
20
This photo was
2022.
taken in 2022.
yeah, this is stuff after whatever was delivered from Chamber Road, well been delivered, right? Out of Chamber Road back in 2019 or 2020, right?
Yes.
So was I referring to when I tranche 2? There were other things, and the other garage door were open on the left there. There were boxes there too. I remember moving boxes, literally physically moving them, one with help, one side or the other, so I could get the Corvette in that garage on the left. But so when I was talking about tranche, maybe I wrong. There was a second time things were piled up in the garage. This was not the first time. And the first time was, I think, back when I moved out of my vice president's office, or I moved out of the vice president's residence, or I moved out of the Penn Light Center, most of the Penn Light Center. But there was different stuff in there on both sides. That's right. Now, there's a lot of this stuff has nothing to do with my vice president. We're just working the house.
Okay, that's very helpful. And can you tell that by looking at these pictures from the
Well, I can tell that
sides?
by the fans to start with.
Okay. And how about
I think that one of these things is marked careful mirror or something on the other side.
I see.
I'm not mistaken. But that thing going across, that's no file or anything. That's something to do with either a mirror or something that is furniture related, I think, but I'm not certain.
Understood.
I think it's still there. I can hold it's on the ground house.
It's often like that. So that's very helpful, Mr. President, thank you. In thinking about the first tranche of stuff that you mentioned a second ago, and the second tranche of stuff.
I'm assuming there were two. That's
Okay.
my assumption. I don't know when the first time
Yes,
I walked into the garage, all of a sudden, there were all these boxes all over the floor. I don't remember if that was way back when I left vice presidency,
yes.
or whether it was just before, in this time frame.
Okay.
I just don't remember, and I don't remember how the hell I got there.
Okay. So here's a different question that doesn't focus on timing or how things got there. Sometimes in my own experience around the house, I get a place gets messy, and then I clean it up, and it looks spick and span, and then it gets messy again. So is that what happened here, where the first tranche came, stuff got dumped in your garage, and you organized it, you moved it all, unpacked the boxes, and then it was spick and span, and then this stuff landed? Or was it not quite that stark? Was it more like, well, I did some unpacking of the first batch, it
I was
wasn't all.
never unpacking anything. I think I remember moving, just moving the boxes.
Okay,
And by the way, there's look in there, there's two things. There's a bookcase, had nothing to do with anything. Bookcase that is against one of those. If you look at that picture, you'll see in the left.
yes,
And I think you can see, it looks like there is something leaning against that.
yes,
I think that is a bookcase. Unrelated to anything having to do with the vice presidency, where some of the books that were sitting around, books came back in boxes. You just took them out and stuck them there to get rid of the box. Follow me? Make any sense?
yes, yes.
And so things like that, I don't know what up. And in the meantime, I can't remember when I had these cabinets on both sides of the garage, the gray cabinets.
Yes, sir.
They're for storage, and they had storage of things for paint, tools, and golf clubs and things like that. And a lot of them inside garage, there was a lot of my wife's crockery and vases and crystal pitchers, for the drink kind of thing. And I needed them to store, to get out of the way so they can get broken, in other place to put them. And that was stuff coming from Chambridge Road and/or originally, I guess, Vice President's residence to Chambridge, those kinds of things. And then there, on the other side, there's a little workbench between that line on the right, what you're looking at here. You see 1, 2, 3 cabinet doors up and down, and then there's an opening, there's a workbench there. There's a place there, and anyway, stuff just piled up there. And so, and maybe, I don't know this, I don't speculate. Anyway, but it wasn't like the box was empty and taken away.
They were
Like
moved.
moved to make room for the Corvette. And initially what I had in there, I had the Corvette, there's one picture, you have it on this side of the garage.
Yes,
And on the other side was a tractor, small tractor. I could operate as a tractor and or as a lawnmower. And it had a white, white. What I ended up doing is buying from one of these garage places, you go, they can buy past gas stations that are selling woodsheds and things like that. I bought a storage facility where I could drive the tractor in there and store it, and a lot of garden stuff, and including we had in there, what else I put in there? Tools, shovels, all that kind of stuff. Oh, and a hard top for my Corvette is in there. And there's 2 doors that close, so there's more storage. So that's why we ended up, because we need the space.
And that you were just talking about, that moving things around and big stuff for the space for the Corvette. Rush, was that before or after your move out of Chambers Road?
I don't know, I can't remember. I'm trying to think. I can remember when the first tranche of boxes got sent to me. I can't, maybe I should ask some of the former staff when the hell that stuff came up and how it came up, I don't know. But I honestly, God, don't remember. And it may have been, and by the way, complicated. In the meantime, a Corvette was being worked on. Because I had to do that show with Jay Leno. Didn't have to, I wanted to do that show with Jay Leno. And there was a kid who used to help me take care of my Corvette, didn't work for me, but I can get his name. So, and he pulled it in and out to work in the carburetor, whatever, and get it up to the Chevrolet. So a lot of stuff going in and out, but I don't remember when the boxes came or where they came from.
Do you remember whether it was when the Corvette was coming back after the Jay Leno show? So in other words, it goes out for Jay Leno, eventually it comes back.
Oh no, it was in and out for a bunch of reasons.
Okay.
It drove me crazy, I wanted to drive it.
Got it. That makes sense. Beautiful car.
And the worst part was, I said I couldn't drive it outside the driveway, it's a long driveway. So I get at the bottom of the driveway, tack it up to about 4 grand, and then all long. You think I'm kidding? I'm not.
We believe you.
I believe you, yes.
By the way, one of the best parts of being vice president, I get to drive all these electric vehicles. Damn. So think about this. You had one of those big 4x4s. I think it's a Ford Bronco, whatever it is. 0 to 60 in 4.6.
Yes.
Instant torque. Yes.
Yeah. By the way, you know how it works. It was really cool.
Sir, I would love to hear much more about this, but I do have a few more questions to get to.
You take 30 seconds, but you push your foot on the brake, you hit a button that's in the, and it says launch. You step your foot on the accelerator all the way down
Whoa.
until it gets about to 6-7 grand, and all of a sudden it'll say launch. All you do is take your foot off the brake. Boom.
There you go.
It's on my bucket list. All right, so let's launch into the next subject, which relates to the Penn Biden Center. So I want to show you what's behind tab 23. I'm sorry, binder one. So there's a number of photos there. The first page is 2022 1201 underscore WFO underscore 0021.
Yep.
And then 22, and then 23, and it jumps to 102, 103, 104, and 114. So
I'm sorry, Rob, which which tab?
Tab 23.
23.
Okay.
So the first several photos ending in dates 21, 22, and 23 are of one box. And then the remainder behind that tab are of another box.
21, 22, and 23, one box.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Okay. And then 102 onward are another box.
Okay.
So these were boxes that were covered with the 10 by center. And I'd like you just to take a quick look at those photographs. Tell me if you recognize these files, if any of them jump out to you as ones that you recall.
Are you on a specific page, Ron, just to be clear?
Not right now.
Okay.
You can look
The
through
one
all
on
6 or 7 of those.
0103, cancer. I was doing a lot of work on cancer research. This is a more current one. Reader Kevin McCarthy. Something I guess it had to do with the deal to prevent the government shutdown, not the shutdown, reneging on the debt, the national debt, to deal with it. Probably had to do with her, stuff she's done for years, women, genealogy, I got a lot of genealogy stuff around. Private Biden, 6, I don't know what that is. This is a guy I worked with before, Vinny, when I was a senator. Call me that. I really can't read somebody else. Can you read it for me? Markets.
Well, I think for the second box, the very last photograph in the tab section is probably the sharpest, closest in.
Can you give me the number?
I'm sorry, page 114.
Got it.
114. Oh, one.
I think that's the clearest focus of the, and the closest in of those photographs.
And I asked Rob again for the clarity of the record.
Yes,
Is the question whether he recognizes the topics or whether he recognizes these specific documents?
these specific documents,
So not so much the topics or these specific documents.
I don't remember.
or rather, I'm sorry, these specific files
Oh, these specific ones,
Yes.
okay.
from the labels on the file folders.
Well, I remember, like, papal visit in 2015. I remember the, Senator Warren's stuff on Black Lives Matter. Probably categorizing that. It's manufacturing in 610. Staff guy work from.
So jumping off of the question that Bob just asked, which is, let me ask a slightly different question, which is, given it sounds like you're familiar with the topics that were addressed in some of these file folder labels, do you recall these as being files that kept for you at the 10 bytes?
I don't recall where they were, but they're all stuff I worked with. I worked a hell of a lot on law enforcement. I looked on marriage equality, I'm the guy that got that changed. Looked on the papal visit. And something about restoring the middle class. These are all subjects that related to most of them. Moonshot was cancer. One of my docs operated on me.
Yes, sir.
Morgan Reed.
Do you recall asking to pull any of these files for you when you were at the 10 bytes?
No, what dates was I there? I don't remember. And but
Vice President.
I know, what are the dates?
Precise dates.
Anyway, some of it, I may have had it pulled from, because I was working on cancer initiatives on my own, I mean, not for Penn, but I did work with Penn, because they have a hell of a cancer center there. McConnell, 7, 13, 15, and all going on there. But it may very well, if they've been at the Penn, these look like stuff that may have been in outdoors or, I don't know, but not squirreled away. I mean, they look like they could be current things I would be working on or around, but I don't know.
Okay, and when you say current,
I mean contemporaneous,
at the Penn
at the Penn Vine Center.
Okay, all
But
right,
I don't know that for a fact.
understood.
So just to be clear, Rob, I'm really sorry, and I'm trying to be good. I just want to make sure I understand. The question that you're asking, I want you to ask the question, because you don't want me to ask the question. Is it, again, the specific, recalling these specific files, or is the question recalling working on topics like this?
The question was, and I believe the president answered it quite clearly, given his familiarity with the topics that are referenced on these file folder labels, does he recall whether these folders were ones that he had to keep and that he referenced at the Penn Biden Center after the end of his vice presidency?
The subject matter, yes, like cancer, violence against women, genealogy, I mean, there are things that continue. And I still think, so you know what I mean, but is it constant? No, I mean, anyway.
Okay.
I think
All right, I'm gonna stop it here.
that's a joke.
I'm gonna stop it here and then we'll get the last one recorded as soon as possible. There's about 30 minutes left or so, maybe 27, 28 minutes, I think. But anyway, I will talk to you guys later. Have a good afternoon. See y'all. Bye.